everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope you liked my new title card. I actually worked hard on that. Anyways, as for today's video, I have decided to draw a dragon. Basically, I asked my partner Jesse what he thinks I should draw, and he told me, and I quote, "a dragon, but not how you draw it. Draw one that looks scary and more detailed, kind of slightly more realistic." And yeah, I actually really liked that idea. I do often draw dragons, not so much now, but a little while ago. But my style for dragons have kind of gone more cutesy and less detailed, something you would see in like a picture book for kids. However, I do really enjoy drawing dragons that are more scary looking and have more teeth and scales and that kind of thing. When I was a teenager, I actually drew a lot of dragons this way, and yeah, since you said that, I have actually been pretty interested in getting into that style of dragon. So as you can see, I have already sketched out the artwork and I am inking it onto some mixed media paper actually, and I'm transferring it onto my light box so that the paper is nice and fresh and doesn't have any of those sketch marks or, you know, eraser parts on it. Basically, I like to do that because, well, the paper is more fresh and color lays down better that way. But yeah, I've started to draw a dragon here, and as you can tell, the artwork is still a little bit simplistic technically because I'm trying to get a new style of dragons and I don't want to push myself too hard the first go. So this is a sort of test one, I guess. Obviously I'm still trying as hard as I can drawing this artwork. However, I wanted to do a more close up so that I could get the details of the face right and not have to worry too much about the anatomy of the body, as I'm just trying to get a style down at the moment and I don't want to have to work on too much difference too soon, if you get what I mean. In the future, I probably will be doing a lot more dragons in this sort of more detailed style. However, I will change it every now and then just to whatever I like at the time and hopefully improve it because it's not perfect. There are some flaws in it, and yeah. So to start off coloring this artwork, I used some yellows and browns. I believe I used my buttercup yellow, my sand colored marker, some dark browns. And after that, I decided, you know, I don't want to stick to one color in this, so I actually decided to put a lot of purples in there as well, because purple is a bit of a complementary color to yellow. So that would look really nice in the shadows and would give it a little bit more dimension than just to shade it with darker versions and like yellows and browns. After that, I decided I wanted a big pop of color on this dragon. I didn't want to just have natural tones on it, so I decided to make the frills on its head and body and also the parts of its wings a nice bright red color, and I believe I used my crimson colored marker. And after that, I actually used some other reds and mainly purples to shade the those red parts, and I thought that using more colors, as I said earlier, would make it look more dimensional and realistic. So yeah, I just went back and forth through some purples and pinks and a little bit of color splendor just to add some nice shading and highlights on those red parts. After that, I went to the mouth and I decided to use some peachy tones and similar red colors, but obviously different for the webbing, you know, where his mouth starts. And then I went on to the horns and spikes on the dragon, and I decided to give it a bit of a purple because of course that would stand out nicely against the subtle yellows on the dragon, but also the dark purple would also stand out nicely against the light red color. And while the red is a nice cool red, it's got some purples in it, I thought that they would look nice together, and I guess I was right. So now we've got the dragon mostly done. I'm just going over shading here and there just to add a little bit extra shading and bits of color here and there on the scales because I really wanted them to look really realistic and pop out and, you know, look like they're actually lumpy parts of dragon skin. After that, I went over again just around the whole dragon, just to add some more purple shading, and particularly under the neck there, because that is a place where most of the shadows would fall, and also near the frills and on the bottom of the start of his wing as well. And once I added that, it actually made it so much more like 3D, I guess, and it made it so much more dimensional. I keep saying that, dimensional. Does that make sense? Give it dimension or something like that. I'm not too sure. Anyways, after that, I started to just go around and fine tune little bits here and there to try and get the details like how I wanted them. After that, I used little bits of yellow, however I liked, just in the highlights as well, to try and make the highlights stand out just as much as the shadows, because I wanted this to be, I don't know, I tried really hard to get it to look nice, I guess. Now finally, I am starting on the little castle tower here that the dragon is climbing, and I wanted to make it look nice, so I actually decided to use a reference for the windows. Usually when I draw castles, I just do a basic art shape for the windows. However, I wanted it to look a little bit fancy and try and push myself to do more details, so I actually used I sketched up a little window shape, and then I basically used that to transfer with the same sketch in different parts of the tower, so that the windows matched a little bit more. After that, I went over with a lot of my cool greys and tried to get a very nice stone brick texture, and yeah, it actually turned out pretty nicely. I really like how I made the shadows underneath the windows, because obviously the windows would pop out a little bit and would make it look nice. And I actually added some colours onto the windows because I felt like just leaving it grey would be a bit plain. So I actually used some green tones and some yellow tones, and yeah, that kind of gave it a little stained glass look, which I really like. After that, of course, I wanted to do a nice dramatic sky gradient. So I actually looked up some dusk gradient is what I googled, and I tried to get a nice little transition of color there to make it look like it's sort of a dark sky but still colorful. And yeah, I actually really like how I did that. I did a mostly dark desaturated blue at the top, and then it transitions to a lighter blue, and then to a yellowy kind of color right on the horizon. And I believe the colors I used for that was night blue, light crockery blue, pale yellow, and of course Prussian blue, which is one of my favorite colored markers. After that, I went over the whole piece just to try and get some little details here and there, most notably the little veins or wing texture on the dragon's wings here. I wanted to give them a little bit more detail and make it look a little bit cooler, I guess. So I got my pencils out, my Prismacolor Colorase, sorry, no, not Colorase, my Prismacolor Premier pencils, and then I used a darkish red to just to do little textures all over the wings and on the frills. And then after that I got a lighter color, which was a white, and then also a red in some of the darker areas, and I basically just added a little highlight above all of those lines just to make them look like they're really there. After that, I decided the sky needed just a tiny bit more detail, so I added some very subtle clouds in the background using my cool grey markers, and then some stars right at the top using my white gel pen. After that, I decided I wanted the scales to be a lot more glossy looking, so I did some highlights all over the scales on each one, and that really made them look shiny and gave them a glossy texture compared to the rest of the artwork. After that, it was just little tiny fine tunings here every now and then, just with each little detail, just so I could refine it and get it to be right where I wanted it to. And yeah, this artwork was so fun to draw, and it's a little bit different to my usual dragon artworks, but you know what? I love it, and I'm really happy that I drew this, and I think it's a step in the right direction for my dragon artworks. Hopefully I'll do more if you guys like it. So yeah, here's the final artwork, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and yeah, thanks for watching my video everyone. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!